You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, go to rpurham.com or follow me on all social media platforms and subscribe at RPURHAM. Thanks. See you over there. Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to Purham and Associates. I'm your host, Rainey Purham. Hey, I hope you all had are having a great week so far. We have a very special guest with us today, and I'm looking forward to having a good discussion with them today because we're going to be talking about some stuff that's very important. You know, I love getting into foreign affairs activities, and so we have none other than Kenneth Abramowitz. He is the author of the Multifront War, defending America from political Islam, China, Russia, pandemics, and racial strife. He is a managing general partner and co-founder of NGN Capital, a $450 million worldwide healthcare venture capital fund. He joined NGN from the Carlyle Group in New York, where he was managing director from 2001 to 2003, focused on U.S. buyout opportunities in the healthcare industry. Prior to Carlyle, he was a healthcare analyst for Sanford C. Bernstein and Company for 23 years, 1978 to 2001. He was awarded the #1 analyst in medical devices and/or services for 15 years by the Institutional Investor magazine, which also placed him on the Wall Street Analyst Hall of Fame in 2009 with a rank of 15 out of 15,000 analysts. Kenneth has published several notable studies on healthcare service companies, major medical mergers, and cardiovascular device innovation. He currently serves on the board of directors of Cardio, Valve, and Therapeutics. Ken has been a staunch supporter and contributor to various organizations that are fighting to preserve liberty and to protect Israel and America from political Islam and a radical left. Mr. Abramowitz serves on the boards of the Israel Independence Fund, American Friends of Likud, and Israel Center for Social and Economic Policy. He is also active in 25 pro-Israel American Western Civilization organizations. Ken is also the founder of SaveTheWest.com, a website dedicated to saving Western civilization from itself. He is also chairman of the Citizens for National Security, a Florida-based and grassroots national security advocacy organization. For this purpose, he gave 100 speeches per year for the past 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing some and presenting to others, Mr. Kenneth Abramowitz. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Great, thank you very much.
You're part of Team No Sleep too, huh? you don't get that much sleep either, busy as you are.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Ken, I wanna jump right into this, and welcome to the show, by the way. But
thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah, total pleasure. Tell us recent with the recent government shutdown over healthcare, essentially is what it was. The folks that are well, there's talks in Congress that these folks are looking at replacing the Affordable Care Act this week, and they're going to be doing a test vote between like today or tomorrow or something to that effect to replace it with something else. And being that your background is in the medical industry, what light can you shed to us, you know, as novice individuals on this topic about the if the Affordable Care Act is replaced and they're looking to put the money from the subsidies into the patient's pockets versus the industry itself, how does that affect things for the healthcare industry from in your perspective?
Well, it wouldn't affect the healthcare industry very much, but it would affect the people involved. We're talking about roughly 20 million people out of a country with 350 million people. Mm-hmm. So I mean, in round numbers, it's 5% of the population. But it's important for the 20 million people, of course. Now, the Affordable Care Act should have been renamed the Unaffordable Care Act.
Yeah.
It was unaffordable from the government's point of view, and it was unaffordable from the individual's point of view. So it's a double failure.
Yeah.
And so the Republicans have been searching for an answer or a replacement since the beginning, and never came up with a replacement. and so I'm sure President Trump is frustrated because when you criticize something, you have to come up with a better solution. You can't just say, I hate the Affordable or Unaffordable Care Act and say, but I don't know what to do about it. So right. The fallback position is just throw more money at it. That's the traditional Washington way. Mm. When something doesn't work, you just print more money and you throw it at the problem. Yeah. But it doesn't solve the problem. It just exacerbates the problem. So President Trump and his people came up with an idea. Let's just give the money. It's called a voucher. Give the money to the individual who's deemed eligible for this and let them go shop for health insurance. So that's a good idea. But they need help because the money that they're going to give for a voucher is not equal to the cost of the health insurance. You see, under the Unaffordable Care Act, whenever the government gets involved in health care, whether it's Medicare, in particular Medicare, the government subsidizes like 75% of it. So when someone, and that's why it seems to be affordable to the individual, because they only had to pay 25%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you're not getting very much value for that, in other words, if you're getting a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible, it's not going to cover 90% of the people aren't going to get any coverage because they'll use $2,000 of expenses. They'll come right out of their own pocket, and then they say, "Why am I buying insurance with a $7,000 deductible that I only use in catastrophic cases, and I didn't have a catastrophic case?" So yes, he should just give the money to the individuals, let them buy health insurance, but the government should also contract with certain insurers in region after region so the person can get good value for the money, for the voucher that they have when they show up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. I like that approach. Now, if the patient or the consumer they get this money and they say, okay, well, I'm gonna go out and get my own insurance, my own health coverage, and what have you. Do they still face a risk of those premiums still being high, or will now the healthcare market turn into a market of competition, so the cost will be lower? That's the I guess you could say the question that most consumers are having right now. Is like, okay, you give me this money, but will the prices still go down, or is this just a transfer of transactions? So that's the question that I'm wondering, and other people have been wondering as well.
Well, that's why the healthcare system is so big and an individual is so small that when an individual shows up and say, I want to buy something, they don't get a very good value. Mm-hmm. And the other problem is that something like 5% of the patients are 50% of the costs. In other words, 5% of people are very sick. And so if you show up for health insurance, one of the questions is, do you have a pre-existing illness? And insurance companies don't like to cover people with pre-existing illnesses for the obvious reason that only the sick people show up for the health insurance, and the insurance company needs a pool of both healthy and sick people.
Yeah.
But again, the government could negotiate and contract with, let's just say, 5 insurance companies, region after region, and say, look, we got a good deal from you because we're the government and you're just a little individual. And we negotiated good deals with 5 insurance companies, not 50 insurance companies, 5 insurance companies. And this is what they're going to give you for that amount of money. And so it is doable. But if you just throw the people into the marketplace, again, you have the problem. I'm just a little individual. You're a big insurance company and you're not going to get a very good deal.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I want to get your thoughts on Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's request to be pardoned for his legal troubles over there. President Trump had weighed in on it and said, hey, he told the President Zergo out there that, hook him up, give him a pardon, let's all just, move on from that. But I want to get your thoughts on all of that and what's going on over there.
Well, first, he did nothing wrong. And so one of the questions, can you get a pardon for something you didn't do?
Like Joe Biden gave out.
Yeah. Well, it's like if I accuse you of robbing a bank and you say, but I didn't rob a bank. I say, well, I'll give you a pardon. You go, anyway. Pardon, I didn't even rob the bank. Okay. So the same silliness that goes on in America goes on in Israel. Israel's like a mirror image of America. So the deep state, attacked Trump using all the legal means they could, and the same thing's going on in Israel. The deep state and the opposition and the Supreme Court and the attorney generals, they're all in on this, are trying to initiate an illegal coup against Netanyahu, just as their counterparts in America were working on an illegal coup against President Trump. So, yes, he should get a pardon, assuming he can get a pardon for something he didn't do. But see, in America, you cannot sue a sitting president. Israel should simply go to that system and say you can't sue a sitting president or a sitting prime minister. And because it's just ridiculous. It's so difficult to be a president or a prime minister. You can't spend 25% of your time fighting frivolous suits from everybody who's trying to sue you.
Yeah, right.
Number one. Number two, President Trump and Netanyahu have one important attribute together, and the deep state of each country has another important attribute together. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu are honest. The deep state is corrupt to the core. So it's basically the criminals are accusing the honest prime minister and honest president being criminals to distract people's attention from the fact that they're the criminals. And they should just state the reason. We want Netanyahu gone so we can have our own prime minister so he can steal money and give it to us. So just say that. It's the same thing the Democrats say, look, we want to get rid of Trump. We want to have our candidate. We want to steal the money, and President Trump won't let us steal the money. So we hate President Trump. It's the same story.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's interesting that you see the deep state. They're disturbed and they're actively engaging in what I would consider a coup attempt. They're trying to take down the honest politicians in this regard and say hey, these guys are corrupt individuals. We're gonna go after them. Even our Congress here in the U.S. they're already telling us, as soon as we get back into power, we're going to get rid of Trump. And then he's like, but what about all the corruption that was just exposed from you guys with USAID and all this stuff? Oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. So it's like, okay, we see right through this. So it's an interesting dynamic to watch unfold.
Well, also people forget. They look at leaders from the good guy point of view. You also have to look at leaders from the bad guy point of view. So if you're an enemy of America or an enemy of Israel, you want the toughest, meanest, baddest, if that's a word, prime minister and president. You want someone that people are afraid of. Right. And so whenever someone says to me, oh, we need a replacement for Trump or we need a replacement for Netanyahu, I said, look, there's only one person I can think of. They go, oh, who's that? I say, Mike Tyson. They go, what do you mean Mike Tyson? I said, I don't mean Mike Tyson himself, by someone who's mean and tough, and that's who you want as your prime minister or president. Someone's afraid of. You don't want a pussycat, right? The pussycat that the bad guys will walk all over that person.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is very true. That's an excellent point. And I see that being an issue for a lot of these corrupt politicians. They got themselves into a system, and it devolved so much that when somebody comes along to try to clean it up, they don't know what to do. They just like, oh, this person's the evil one. It's like, yeah, no. But I want to touch on your new book here. Tell us about it. The Multifront War, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to the website and order it. It's on Amazon. But I'll let Ken tell you all about that. But tell us about the book. Tell us why you wrote it and what's it about, sir.
Well, I've been a healthcare analyst on Wall Street all my working life, 45 years. I was physically in New York, you could say, on Wall Street for 25 of those years. Mm-hmm. And on 9/11, I said to myself, what can I do as an individual about 9/11? I'm just an individual. And I say, I have to do something. And I said, well, the only thing I know how to do is analyze. That's what business analysts like me do. We analyze. So I said, I'm going to analyze 9/11. Who did it? Why'd they do it? Why didn't we stop them from doing it? What went wrong? It was a systemic failure. It's like Pearl Harbor. Right. You know, if I were living at that time, I would have said, how come Pearl Harbor? Who did it? Why'd they do it? Why didn't we stop them? Same story. So I embarked on now a 25-year second career, which I do simultaneously with my healthcare career. And I spent 10 years teaching myself, 1 day a week. And then about 15 years ago, I said, I have to start writing things. And I started writing things. And then 10 years ago, I said, I have to write a book. And I put it all together. And 5 years ago, I published the book, The Multifront War. By the way, I now spend half my time, 3 days a week on national security, 3 days a week on healthcare. I go back and forth every day. And I wrote this book 5 years ago. I updated it 4 times. The 4th update is very recent, just a few months ago. And so people who buy the book just go right away to the last chapter. The last chapter is Trump 2.0, and that's the most current update of the book. What I do is I keep the book the same and then add a chapter. So I've now, this is the 4th edition, so I added a 4th chapter, and people should read that. But I'll summarize it in 1 minute. By the way, it only took me 15 years to think of this, but I'll summarize it in like 1 minute. We're fighting 21 wars simultaneously. That's why it's called the Multifront War. We have 3 groups of enemies, which I color code: the reds, the greens, and the blues. Reds are traditional color for communists. The green, traditional color for Islam, but this is in particular Islamists, people trying to impose Islam on other countries. And the blue, for color-coded for the United Nations colors, that's the globalists. So the reds, the greens, and the blues have declared war on us, and they use 7 forms of warfare, so which I'll describe in 30 seconds. But if you multiply 3 bad guys times 7 forms of warfare, it's 21 mini-wars. And they use 7 forms of warfare: kinetic war, and those things blow up; chemical, biological; cultural; economic; legal; demographic; and cyber. So those are the 7 forms of warfare that the reds, the greens, and the blues use to undermine America and destroy Judeo-Christian culture. And so that's why I wrote the book. I said to myself, hey, wait a minute, we're at existential risk here, and we're fighting on 21 fronts. And managing 21 fronts is a nightmare. And pretend you're a juggler. I don't know how to juggle, but pretend that you do. And you're juggling 1 balls up in the air, and they're all numbered. And I say, Mr. Juggler, which of the 21 balls is most important? You would say to me, excuse me, I'm a juggler. I'm juggling 21 balls. They're all important to me because I'm at the circus, and people want to watch me try to juggle 21 balls. So my point was that we have to have strategies to confront each of the 21 challenges. You can't just say, I'm going to focus on challenge 1, 2, or 3, and I solve the problem. Right. So that's the quick summary of the book.
Okay. No, that's great. And thank you for taking the time to put it together, because you're absolutely right. We are in a multi-front war, and a lot of people don't understand, the asymmetrical warfare that we're facing right now in the United States with these other countries. We have this love-hate relationship with a lot of these countries, and so they say, well, if China is an adversary and Russia's an adversary, then why are we doing trade business with them? It's like, well, we kind of have to. So it's one of those weird relationship dynamics. You just like you may hate your spouse, but you have to live with them because you have children together, type of thing. So it's like one of those, you just can't get around it. But a lot of people don't understand, how this multi-layer apparatus that we're in, called the world, works in terms of dealing with countries, dealing with individuals, dealing with markets, and how all of that comes together. And you have, a war front, within all of those dynamics. And so it's an interesting perspective to have. And I'm sure your book is going to shed light on all of that. And being that this is the 4th edition, I anticipate that you're going to be coming up on a 5th edition here really soon, because there's a lot of things that's changed or evolved, in the last few months alone here within those countries.
Well, if you remember the song from the 1950s, there's a whole lot of shaking going on. So it's
yep. Oh yeah, that's very true. Very true. Real quick, tell us about the website you have here up this right away, the SaveTheWest.com, and how people can benefit from going to this website.
Yes, well, I set it up about almost 15 years ago because I started to write. So every 2 weeks I write an article. And it's on the website, and it comes to your email if you sign up. There's a pop-up menu. All you do is have to sign up. It's complimentary. Everyone should take advantage of it. And that article every 2 weeks forces me, like any deadline in life, it forces you to think clearly, and then meet your own self-imposed deadline. And so what I do is every 2 weeks I take the whole lot of shaking that's going on that 2 week period, and I write an article about it. Well, if you keep doing that, that's 26 articles a year. And so you see how it's not so difficult to write the 5th edition, because I just take the information from the 26 articles and another 26 articles, put it together, and that becomes the new chapter of the new book. And so it's a good discipline for me, but it's a good exercise, as I said, for me, but also for the readers. That's how I educate myself, and then I educate the readers. And so people should take advantage of that.
That's awesome. Good deal. Good deal. Tell people how people can follow you and support you, sir. And any last thoughts you may have.
Yeah, well, they can follow me on Facebook under Kenneth Abramowitz. And Twitter, I have in the last year or two a new Twitter handle at Multifront War, and they can follow me there. And also my old one that you have on the screen is fine. And but the best way to follow me is by reading my articles every 2 weeks. Each article is a think piece, and it's very easy read. It's like within 10 minutes you can read it. And also, I give 100 speeches a year around the country, mostly in Florida, but some in New York and in Washington. And I have seminars in the winter if people live in the Boca Raton area. So there's a lot of ways for people to interact with me if they want to.
Awesome. Ken, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I truly appreciate you. And good luck out there. Get some rest. And have fun. And I look forward to have you back on again soon.
Sure. Whenever you want. And I forgot to mention I have a webinar once a month. So there's a lot of different ways for people to listen to me if they want to listen to me.
Okay. Awesome. Good deal. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Take care.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth Abramowitz. Hey, once again, for those that are on the listening end of things, through Spotify, Substack, or you just passively listening on the video socials there, the website is here at the bottom, SaveTheWest.com. SaveTheWest.com is where you can sign up to join his newsletter and and get current information on what's going on around the world. You know, it's important stuff. You know, and I'm still fighting this cold. If y'all couldn't tell, tell you, it's a kick my ass. But Multifront War, you go pick it up. Check that out on Amazon, and you can order it through his website as well. And folks, I'm going to get up out of here. Like I said, I need to take some medicine and lay back down for a little bit. I am just. But before I go, I have been horrible with doing this. I just don't like to promote myself like that. I don't know why, but I need to get into the habit of doing that. But my own very book, you can pick up soon, order soon, pre-order, or whatever you want to call that. But Polarizing America will be out at Dichotomous Society. I am fundraising for that, so you see the givesendgo.com/book project 2025. Appreciate your support and help me fundraise to get this book published and everything else and get it out the door and into your hands. For the spring of next year is where we're looking at getting it released. So I am done with all the editing and the back and forth with the publishers and all that good stuff. So it's in production right now. So givesendgo.com/book project 2025. I appreciate your support once again. Donate to that so that can get this and take care of. Polarizing America, a Dichotomous Society by Randy Purham. That is me. But folks, all right, like I said, I'm getting up out of here. Take some Dayquil and get the day going. So I'll catch you all sometime this week. Be safe. God bless you all. I think I'll be back on tomorrow, actually, or the day after, or something like that. I gotta go to my calendar. But nonetheless, I'll catch you all soon. Take care. God bless. Be safe. I hope you enjoyed today's program. You can follow, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and your news. And also, you can download Let the Truth Be Told app on your favorite streaming platforms, such as Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. Take care. God bless.